How's it going? Good, yeah, I'm doing okay. Are you excited for fall like the rest of the world? Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of posts on social media and people already doing Halloween stuff, and it's exciting, definitely. I think it kind of comes along with the territory because the holidays start and getting breaks from work and school, and if you enjoy being around your family or the people who you get to celebrate things with, that's fun and it's pretty. And then I think, most humans are roughly comfortable around the same temperature, and I think fall brings, it's like a reprieve from all the heat, but it's not frigid yet. So I do know some people who prefer summer or winter because they like the temperature extremes, but I feel like most people prefer autumn the most. Maybe spring. Yeah. Have you been waking up early? Yeah, I was gonna say the last few days have been really nice and crisp in the morning, and I've actually needed to wear a little light jacket, which has been heartwarming. I like being cozy and cocooned, so that's good. And today though, it's really muggy. Yeah, my hair has grown 5 sizes, but it's fine. Yeah, so good. I'm glad that you could come. I'm sorry that I've not really been available much outside of school. I feel like every time we see each other now, it's school related, but it's just been super busy and trying to, better myself. So I appreciate you helping me with that. And today is going to be kind of different from the things that we've done before. So this is about anatomy, not about any specific testing or me looking for things, in your eyes or ears or mouth or nose. I'm going to have to feel around your whole face and head though, if that's okay. Yeah, so I've learned all of the bones of the human head and a couple other details, but the bones is what I'm going to be tested on. So yeah, so I need to try and feel them on your skull. Exciting, I know. Okay, so yeah, you can get comfortable. I'm going to open up my book. I'm going to try to do it all from memory, but obviously since I'm going to have to take a test, I want to know if I forget something or get something wrong. Don't want to assume that I've got it right, so. Okay, so yeah, the skull is, it's actually pretty cool. There's a lot of different bones that come together. It's not just one big skull plate, which I think I've always thought that, partially because of Halloween skeletons and stuff. It's just one surface for the whole skull, so I always thought, okay, yeah, it's just one big bone, but there's actually a lot of different bones that come together to create the skull, so that's pretty cool. And they all sort of protect different really important things, so that's pretty cool too. Some of them also help with motions like chewing or saying yes and no, stuff like that. So yeah, it's pretty neat. So the first one I'm going to start with is one of the larger ones, and that is your frontal bone, which is right here on your forehead. So I'm just gonna frontal bone, of course, kind of houses your frontal lobe of your brain, and the frontal lobe is essentially what makes us who we are. So the things that you like and don't like, the things that bother you or don't bother you, all of that is right here in the frontal lobe, behind the frontal bone. Okay. And then moving backward, in the sort of middle of your skull is the parietal bone. And the parietal area of the brain is the area that deals with where you are in time and space. Not in like a sci-fi sense, but your understanding of like perception of depth and literally where you are in this area, so that's pretty cool. And it's also one of the larger, it comes down around a bit to the sides. And another cool part about all of these bones is that they all sort of come and meet like behind your eye socket. So the actual eye socket is made up in the back out of a whole bunch of different bones. Yeah, it's really cool. And then in the back of your skull, I'm just gonna touch here. This is your occipital bone. And all of the occipital stuff is eye related, of course, and a lot of the important connections to do with your eyes are actually kind of in the further back region of your head. And while I'm back here, I'm also going to feel there is the superior nuchal line and the inferior nuchal line, and sort of almost in the middle is the external occipital protuberance. And you can kind of probably feel this for yourself if you put your hands back there. There's like a soft spot in the middle, and then there's these two hard spots. Not so down as far as like your neck, but up a bit. You can almost kind of feel where your parietal bone ends, and then just a little bit below that there are these like nubs, and then a soft spot in the middle. And just below this there's a muscle connection, which is going to be important for my work, because being able to find the bony landmark allows you to find the muscle in question. So when I'm dealing with people who maybe need some massage therapy, or they need to be referred to a chiropractor, or if they have a muscle strain, something like that, it's helpful to be able to feel that, which is part of why I'm feeling it on you instead of just on myself. Everybody's body is a little different, so just gonna push that a little bit for a second and really feel the whole structure. And this area, if I remember right, the occipital area is also, or specifically the protuberance, has to deal with like how we view the horizon So it's actually been incredibly important in human evolution because this area kind of allows us to see patterns in the stars, which developed agriculture and then led towards civilization. And it comes in handy, or it came in handy when people would be like hunting and had to see things moving quickly and not lose balance, so some of that has to do with your inner ear. I know we've talked about before, your sense of being level, but this is more like the skill. This area tenses up when it needs to level the distance. Does that make sense? I don't know. But that's pretty cool too. So without this little area, civilization might not have come as far as it has, which is pretty neat. Let's see, so we got your frontal bone, your parietal bone, your occipital bone, your external occipital protuberance, and then your ear hole. Not your whole ear, but the hole in your ear is your external auditory meatus, and that's just the ear hole. I don't think there's anything special about it except for the fact that it allows sound in and out, and I'm not gonna poke that. So, let's see, coming down right behind the ear, I'm just gonna try to press it here. Right behind the ear is the mastoid process, and there are also these little curved, sort of pointed bones in there, which are called another process, let me think, styloid process. And these are also another anchor for a muscle, the styloid process. The mastoid process is just kind of a plate sort of back here. And to be honest with you, I don't know what it does or what it covers. But then coming down into the jaw, this is your mandible, your lower jaw, and the mandible has a number of parts. So the area below your teeth is called the body. I'm just gonna press right here. Feel that. And moving back, let's see, this is the body, this your jawline. When people mention like square jaw or round jaw or whatever, this part is called the angle, which is pretty helpful because it's literally an angle. I'm just gonna feel that. And the area closer to your ear, I believe, at the top of your mandible, is your coronoid, I don't know if I'm saying that right, coronoid process, and the one behind, I believe, is the condyle. I might be getting those flipped. I know that the condyle is the one that helps you say yes or no. So if you have good posture and you tilt tilt your head down, it's not affecting like your spine or your neck or anything because it's resting on these condyles, which are just kind of little rocker areas. And then the TMJ area as well is connected to one of the two. I'll have to remember that, but so note to self, I need to remember which one is in front and which one is behind. I think the condyle is in front and the cornoid process is in the back. I could be wrong. So that would be 1, 2, 3. There are 2 more. One of them I know is the ramus. It might be ramus, but I keep thinking of Ramus from League of Legends. Granted, his name has 2 M's, and this is only 1. But it's the area here, I believe. So I'm trying to feel for that as well. And it's another sort of plate-looking structure. So. Okay, so we've got the body, the angle, the condyle and process, and the ramus body, angle, condyle, process. Okay, that's all of them. So that is your whole mandible. Above here, around your teeth area on the top, and your hard palate inside, which I don't have gloves on, so I'm not gonna feel that. This is your maxilla. Just gonna feel around your teeth. Upper part. Okay. And press near your nose. Okay. Yeah, so that is the maxilla, and then the teeth are in between the maxilla and the mandible. I actually didn't ask if like these teeth are part of the mandible and these teeth are part of the maxilla, because I know that they're bones, teeth are, but I didn't ask, so I'll have to ask. So we've got the maxilla. Then let's see. Okay, your cheekbone. Right here. The technical term for this is the zygomatic process. So this is the zygomatic process. Yeah, cheekbones are very interesting. I don't think I have particularly strong cheekbones. I feel like they're kind of more recessed than some people's, but I also don't know if I'm comparing that to actual human beings or plastic surgery, because there are a lot of people who get like implants, and I think it's pretty rare to like naturally have strong cheekbones. I wonder if there's any group of peoples around the world who that's like a trait of their people, that they have strong cheekbones. I almost want to say that Native Americans do, but I don't know if that's just based on the pictures that I've had the chance to see. But I think even in Pocahontas had strong cheekbones, very like angular cheeks, so that's the only thing I can think of as a potential, but I can't really remember or picture, I should say, any other group group of people who have more pronounced cheekbones. Yeah, and the more I'm learning about the bones of the skull and face, the kind of weirder it seems to me that people alter them, like open up their skin and either shave bones down or add things to the bone or shape the bone. It's kind of crazy to think about, and definitely makes me not want to do that, because I mean, you can probably tell as I've been going all around, like, all of these bones are useful. They are very useful and hold a lot of important parts about who we perceive ourselves to be and how we function, and it just seems kind of like taunting fate or something to mess with that. Also, you know, who knows what the repercussions could be. So, okay, so we had your maxilla and your zygomatic process. Also, so on the sides here, which I didn't get to yet, so in between the frontal bone and the parietal bone is the temporal bone. So this is, of course, around your temples. And I don't actually know what this has to do with. I don't know. I know these are all Latin terms, but I don't know if temporal, I mean, I know that usually means time, but I'm not sure. I do know that connected to the temporal bone, or technically part of it, I guess, on your cheeks here is the zygomatic arch and the zygomatic bone. Just gonna feel those. Okay. And the zygomatic arch is actually it makes kind of a hole, and there's a muscle that goes through the hole that allows us to chew. It helps us chew, I should say. So that's pretty cool. And then the bone, I'm pretty sure the zygomatic bone, I think, is like just the connecting part. So it might be beneath the temporal bone in front of the ear, I think. There's also in this sort of region, maybe a little north, I'll try to find it. I'm not sure if I can even touch it or if it's internal, I don't remember. But it's called the sphenoid bone. Okay. And okay, so let me think. We've got mandible, maxilla, frontal bone, parietal bone, temporal bone, occipital bone, zygomatic process, zygomatic arch, zygomatic bone. We did the inferior and superior nuchal lines, the external occipital protuberance, the external auditory meatus. The mandible also had 5, 2, 3, 4, 5 extra parts. Let me think. We did sphenoid, so this would be 20. We also have your nasal bone right here, which is, if you wear glasses, that's kind of where your glasses sit. If not, it's just the hard part above the tip towards your eyes. And then coming down, the tip is all cartilage, as you, I'm sure, know. You can wiggle it and move it around. But behind that is the nasal apertures, which are, it's not really a structure, it's just kind of the openings. So I'm sure you've seen a skull or a skeleton before, and you know, they just have two holes there. Yeah, it's really creepy to see no nose. I don't know if that's just me, but I kind of hate knowing that there's nothing behind this. Like, I know there's cartilage and tissue, but it's weird to think that one day, in the hopefully very distant future, there won't be anything. Because you get very focused on your nose, you know. I think most people do anyway, unless you're just born with a very cute nose or a nose that you're happy about. Yeah, I knew some people where I grew up who had kind of larger noses, but they were very distinct, and it was like a mark of the family. Like, you knew that they were Italian or that they belonged to this certain family because of the shape of their nose, and that's pretty cool, I think. So yeah, different reasons to love a nose, but it is kind of weird to think how they form. Mine used to be like a swoop when I was little, and now it's very straight. And I think that's because of the amount of times I took a basketball to the face. That happened a surprising amount when I was young, and it hurt. Yeah, my nose has changed a lot since I was a kid. I definitely wish that I still had my childhood nose, because it was a lot more dainty. And like, your nose and your ears are the only things that I know of that continue to grow, like, for as long as you're alive. So that's why so many old people have like massive ears or a massive nose. And I already feel like, from the side at least, my nose is plenty big enough. I have one of those faces, I forget what it's called, it's like a convex profile or something like that, where my nose is the farthest thing out. If I had a bigger chin, which is not typical of those who have this profile, usually it's a smaller forehead and smaller chin, making that shape. If I did have a bigger chin, though, it would make my nose look smaller, because it would be in better proportion, I guess, scientifically speaking. But it's really cool to see how everybody forms differently. So yeah, no, I like your nose. Yeah, I've always wanted a different nostril shape. I don't know why. I like the ones that are kind of squared off. I think those are really cute. Yeah. And of course, everyone loves the little upturned nose for whatever reason. Like Cindy Lou Who. Yeah. Dainty. Okay, so with the addition of the nasal apertures, I think we're at 21, and there are 31, so I need 10 more. I also forgot, though, that I did the sphenoid, the styloid processes. There are other things that I can't touch as well. One of them is called the Foramen magnum. magnum just means large, which I think we all have a reference for that. But foramen means hole. So the large hole is in the center, kind of if I could just go straight down into your head. And it's the area that the spinal cord goes through. So it's very important. So that's another one. We have 8 left. Near the foramen magnum, towards the front, there are I want to say they're called the occipital condyles. There's 2 of them. 7 left. There's also the palatine process, which is like the soft palate area you can feel in the back of your mouth with your tongue. That brings me down to 6. There's the palatine bone as well, which I think my understanding is that the palatine process is the actual soft part, and the palatine bone is like separating the roof of your mouth, the hard part, which I believe is part of the maxilla, from the soft part, but I'm not really sure about that. So that brings us down to 5. And I know 4 of them are suture lines, so I'm missing 1. The pterygoid, is that right? Pterygoid plates. Those are, I can't touch those either because they're actually in your head as far as I'm aware, and kind of in almost like a U shape. I think if you could cut in this way, they would be roughly there, but kind of in the middle. That could be wrong, so don't quote me on that. Okay, so the last 4 are suture lines. And suture lines are the areas where your head came together. And because of course we have soft heads when we're born. And part of the reason for that is that our brains grow very fast. So there needs to be space for that to happen. And then the bones come together at these suture lines, which are imperfect, literally where the bones join. So there are 4 of them. Okay, the one that is between the frontal bone and the parietal bone is the coronoid. Is it coronoid again? It's something similar. I know this is the coronoid process. It's cora something suture here-ish. Okay. So that's, I'm kind of just trying to feel for where your frontal bone ends near your parietal bone. I'm really wishing at this point that I took Latin. Did you take any Latin? Yeah, the Latin teacher, it was only an option at the bougie school that I went to for like a year and a half, and I hated it. But there was a guy named Mr. Self. He was the Latin teacher, and he was my homeroom teacher, so I had a little experience with him. And everyone said that his class was really hard, and he was very intimidating because he made up his own language, and I'm pretty sure he knew Klingon. He was just like a language nerd. So there were all these rumors that his class was really difficult. difficult, so I just kept taking Spanish, and not that I regret that, but Latin obviously would come in handy so many times. Like, not just the SATs or GREs or anatomy and physiology, but also just in life. So many words, the root is from Latin, so it'd be easy to get like context clues, and I kind of wish that I had just believed in myself and taken the class anyway. Yeah. Okay, so that is your Cora something suture. It's funny that the two things that are the coronoid or cora whatever are the ones that I can't remember. I wonder why that is. Okay, the next one. I know one of them is called lambdoid. I don't know if you're supposed to pronounce all the letters, but it's spelled like lambdoid. Where is that one? That one is between the parietal and the occipital bones. So if this is your parietal bone here, and this is your occipital bone, it should be kind of right here between the lambdoid suture. Okay. Good. Okay. The next one is the squamous suture. I kind of hate and love that word. I want it to be something else, but I'm not sure what. I don't like the flat A. Squamous. Squamous. I don't know. Okay, the squamous suture. Is between either between the parietal and temporal, or the frontal and temporal, but the frontal and temporal, no, that wasn't right. It's generally in this vicinity. Okay. I think it's the parietal bone and that would be, if this is your parietal bone and your temporal bone is here, then the squamous suture would be right about here. Okay. Right. Good. And the last one is the sagittal. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one either, but it's the one that goes down the middle of your skull, I think. Yeah, so it would be like coming from here and going back, or it's straight across like this. It's kind of hard for me to remember, but I do know that it's farther and farther out. So I think it runs front to back, but that might be. There's also this membrane. Oh man, I wish I could remember what it's called. It's the Crista Gallia, I think. runs from the front to the back of your brain. And it's a membrane, so it was pretty cool to learn that, you know how when people drink, they all kind of go through the same general phases. And now that you know the bones, this is going to make sense. So there was something called GABA. I guess it's a byproduct that passes through the blood-brain barrier and affects your brain when you drink. And it uses this Crista Gallia mohawk line to travel, and it starts at the front. So it starts with your frontal lobe, and as we talked about, this area here is who you are and what bothers you and what you like. So your inhibitions. So when people are like, oh, my inhibitions are loosened, or I'm tipsy, or whatever, that means that the frontal lobe is being affected by the alcohol. Okay, and then as it travels back, it goes towards the parietal area, which, as we discussed, is right around here, and it deals with where you are in space and time. So you tend to get clumsy because your depth perception is affected, and your understanding of where you are is affected. And then as we move back towards the occipital, which has to do a lot with your vision, this is when you are reaching towards blacking out, because eventually it shuts down that part and you lose vision. So you might go from blurry to blacked out. So I thought that was pretty cool. And I think this isn't on the test, but there's an area inside the brain as well that holds the pituitary gland, which deals with your fight or flight sensations, and I think that's somehow related to the Crista Gallia, or there was another weird one. If I knew Latin. It sounded like a car. I think it was something like Celia Turcica. And I remember thinking of Celica. But it's kind of like a scoop area that holds the pituitary gland. I don't know, it's just really cool to know how all of that works and what's protecting what. And it also makes sense because, if you remember, I was saying that foramen is a hole. So if you get hit in the head, there are various holes throughout your head that your optic nerve goes through, your spinal cord goes through. This is why it's so important not to get hit in the head. If your foramen that holds your optical nerve is moved off kilter or smushed a little bit, it will affect your eyesight. You could go blind. You could have, the concussive symptoms. You can have a lot of trouble with your eyesight. Similarly, I can't remember which one it is, but one of them also protects your olfactory nerve. But again, it's like a hole. So if you get hit and that hole shifts, it will be pinching part of that nerve, and so you can lose your sense of smell. Just things like that. Of course, if you injure your spinal cord, you're either going to be paralyzed or dead, so that's clearly the most important one, but they're all built so perfectly. Everything matters exactly where it is, and I think that's kind of cool. What do you think? Yeah, it kind of makes you a little bit more like grateful to be yourself, right? No, yeah, I definitely agree. Yeah, so there's a lot of terminology that you don't need. Yeah, so it's because a lot of these bones will connect to muscles. Essentially, most things in the body are connected to other things in the body. So someone could be having a neck pain that's coming from their leg, or a, I don't know, muscle strain in their foot that's coming from their upper thigh. You know, there's so many connections, and we have this big ropey muscle in the neck on both sides that can get really tight as well, and that connects to, I want to say, the mastoid process. So if you can feel the end of that, that should be your mastoid process right there, if I remember right. Alternately, it could be the coronoid process, the two that I'm stuck with. Yeah, so yeah, I can tell you for sure. I have my beautiful skull. Okay, so let me see. I know I got them all because I counted. But let's clear this up. The condyle is the farther back one, so I was right the first time. And the coronoid process is kind of under your cheekbone, like right here. So the condyle does the yes, no thing, and I think it also deals with your TMJ because it looks like it's right there. And then the coronoid process, I don't know what that does anymore. And what was the other one? Coronal suture is between the frontal and parietal. Coronal. Who knows if I'm gonna remember that? And did I say this squamous was in between parietal and temporal? Okay, good, that's correct. Okay, I think that was all I was confused about, right? Yeah, so thank you for letting me use you as a body. Yeah, we don't have to do any paperwork this time. I will just have you later sign a sheet that says that we did it. Yeah. Yeah, that's one of the things that I really like about school now, is that if you don't want to do the work, you can lie, but you're paying for it, so you might as well get your full education, you know. And it's cool, I think. Yeah, so I think I'll have some stuff in the future that I might like that will be similar to this if you want to be my body again. Okay, thanks. Yeah, sorry I didn't let you do much talking today. Thinking out loud. Yeah, do you have time to hang out? Okay, cool. I'm not doing anything the rest of the day, and nothing this weekend, so if you want to stay, you can. If you want to leave whenever, that's fine too. And if you want to come back, I'll be here. Yeah. We can. The only thing really on my to-do list is to reorganize this chest of drawers that I have that's loaded to the brim with stuff, and it's not organized at all. So I know you kind of like doing stuff like that too. Yeah, we can put on music or a movie or a TV show or something and go through that if you want. Okay, cool. Alright, did you have any questions for me? Or did this evaluation go well for you? Yeah, I'm supposed to ask. It was okay, made sense. Okay, good. Cool. Well, wanna go hang out?